All right, guys, let's talk about something we've all fought with. That one stubborn dry spot on a green that's otherwise perfect. It just will not take water. It's a massive headache for every single one of us. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on wetting agents. We're getting into the real science of what a modern surfactant program can do, and frankly, what it should be doing for your turf.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the problem we all know way too well. Then we'll look at the tool we use to fix it and get into the nitty-gritty science. After that, we'll check out some real-world data, explore a really fascinating debate that's going on, and then we'll wrap it all up with what it actually means for you out on the course.
So yeah, let's start right at the beginning. That patch of turf, you know the one, it just refuses to drink, no matter how much water you throw at it. It's frustrating, it's stressful, and it's all because of a condition called hydrophobic soil.
Now look, I know we're not growing houseplants here, but I saw this quote on a Reddit forum, and it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly describes that feeling when water just avoids the one place you need it to go. It's a simple, but man, a perfect way to describe water repellency.
In our world, we've got a name for that, localized dry spot, or LDS. And what's happening is that organic acids are building up on your sand particles, creating this waxy coating that literally pushes water away. You see it all the time on sand-based greens, and it can show up just months after construction. So that simple problem from the Reddit post, well, for us, it becomes a major agronomic battle.
So, if the soil is rejecting the water, we've got to do something to change the water itself. And that brings us right to the main weapon in our arsenal for fighting LDS, the surfactant.
The name really says it all, you know? A surfactant is a surface active agent. Its entire job is to get in there, right between the water and the soil, and basically break up the fight. It's like the chemical handshake that finally makes infiltration possible.
Think about water molecules. They're like a super tight-knit crew, all holding on to each other for dear life. That's called cohesion, and it creates what we know as surface tension. Well, a surfactant comes in and acts like a wedge, breaking that group up and forcing the water to spread out and, actually touch other things, like our hydrophobic soil. So in short, they literally make water wetter.
But that's just scratching the surface. Modern wetting agents are way more sophisticated than that. They're actually engineered with a dual-action approach, and it's really crucial to understand both parts.
So, first up, you've got the penetrant part. These are long-chain molecules, and they act kind of like a detergent, just driving that water down through the repellent layer. But then you've got the humectant property. These are bigger, more complex molecules, and they're designed to hang out, attract, and hold on to that moisture, and any nutrients, right there in the root zone where the plant needs it most. It's a real 1-2 punch. Get the water in, and then make sure it stays there.
Okay, so that's the theory. But we're superintendents, right? We live and die by what we see with our own eyes. So the big question is, does the data actually back this up? Do these things really work out on the turf? Let's take a look at a recent field trial. This one was done at Bray Golf Club over in Ireland. They put 7 different commercial surfactants head-to-head against an untreated control plot, right on a POA annual green. And they measured everything, turf quality, and, most importantly for this conversation, soil moisture.
And the results? Well, they were pretty darn clear. If you look at the volumetric water content, the untreated control plot was sitting at just over 16.5%. But look at the treated plots. Every single one of them did better, with the top products pushing that average up over 19.5%. That's a huge increase in available moisture.
And this wasn't just a fluke for one product. This was a lift across the entire category. The data makes it pretty obvious. Putting down a surfactant consistently gets you higher moisture levels in the root zone compared to just doing nothing. It just works.
But, and this is a really crucial point from some GCSAA-funded research, not all wetting agents are created equal. Not by a long shot. This study found a massive performance gap. Some products were retaining almost double the amount of plant-available water compared to others. It just goes to show you that your product selection really matters. So, all this variation in performance leads us to a more advanced and honestly, a more interesting debate that's happening among turf scientists. We've established that these things help with moisture, okay? But what is their most important job? Is it just holding more water, or is it something else entirely?
And that's the key question, right there. Are we just chasing a higher number on our moisture meter, or are we trying to eliminate those extremes, the bone-dry spots and the soggy spots, to create a more consistent, more playable surface?
Now check this out. This quote from a 2010 study is a potential game changer for how we think about this stuff.
The researchers found that, yeah, the total amount of water in the soil didn't change all that much, but the uniformity of that moisture improved significantly. This suggests that the biggest benefit might not be just adding more water, but making sure the water you do have is spread out evenly, preventing LDS before it even has a chance to start.
Of course, thinking about these products also means we have to think like professionals when we apply them. Our due diligence is absolutely critical. And that means always sticking to the regulations, always using the proper PPE, and keeping an eye out for what's next in green chemistry. It's just part of being a professional. Okay, let's bring this all home. We've gone from the frustration of a single dry spot all the way to the nuance of soil moisture uniformity. So what does all this mean for the decisions you've got to make every single day? Here's the bottom line, guys. Wetting agents are proven to work, period. But their biggest benefit might actually be improving the uniformity of your soil moisture, not just cranking up the total amount. And that means your job is to be strategic. Don't just buy a wetting agent, buy the right one for the job. You have to ask yourself, am I trying to bust through severe dry spots and I need a powerful penetrant? Or am I just trying to maintain consistency through a long dry summer? Match the product's strengths to your specific goal.
So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have a deeper understanding of how these products really work, from penetration and retention to the critical role of uniformity, how are you going to look at your surfactant program tomorrow? Are you just buying a product off the shelf, or are you actually implementing a strategy?